everyone, and welcome back. We will now have the second part of our training. This time we will cover the different steps to unpack or to deconstruct a standard. In the last session, we have learned the 4 different learning targets, and so this time let's review or check for understanding. So here is a question. This is actually a question that I had asked some of my students, and it so happened that a 4th grader was able to determine the correct answer with a very good explanation. So our job as a group, we are going to decide whether this question is knowledge or reasoning, and you are going to explain why. And so we have to pause the video to be able to share our answers with one another. Okay, I hope you had a great time during the sharing. And this time, let me take you to the 5 easy steps to deconstruct a standard. And I tried to make it even easier for you by having this come as an acronym, cited. First step, you have to choose a standard that the student must be addressing. It has to be intact and never change any of the verbiage. Now that you have selected a standard that the student should address, you will read the standard to identify the nouns and the verbs. You can either circle all the verbs or box all the nouns or color the nouns red and color the verbs green, however you will do it. And it's not that hard, right? This time, you will be going to tell whether the nouns and the verbs that you have selected from the standard would fall under knowledge or concepts or context or skills or products. You would notice that all the nouns would fall under knowledge or content or context, and all the verbs would fall under skills. Now we have to take note that a context within the standard may be expressed or given, and sometimes it could be implied. Now in this example, the context that is implied is the real-world application problems. Also, the skills that are embedded in the standard may be given or expressed in the standard itself, or also it may be implied. Products. Products are the deliverables that we are expecting our students to turn in as evidence of learning the concepts. Now, products are usually implied in a standard. We are now going to do another activity. We call this pair share. So within your tables or where you are seated, find a partner and decide who is going to be partner A and partner B. As partners, you agree and pick one out of the 4 given standards to talk about. Partner A identifies all the nouns and partner B identifies all the verbs. Both partner A and partner B will collaborate and determine the knowledge and skills embedded in that standard. Let's be ready to share with the group. As we go to that slide with all the choices, we have to pause this video. The next step is to explore the big idea or the essential question, including the sub-skills in that standard. So with the standard that we selected, our big idea would be reading, writing, comparing, and understanding decimals up to the thousands place. Then you can have all your essential questions. You may have your essential questions from the point of view of the teacher, or you may also write your essential questions from the point of view of the learner. And the last step in our acronym cited is letter D. Determine the prerequisites or foundational skills and context that are embedded or implied in the standard. So with the standard that we had selected, we identified some of the conceptual prerequisites. Of course, the big one would be the 4 fundamental operations of whole numbers with more focus on multiplication and division. Okay? However, we must also be expecting that our students have the understanding of the base 10 numerals, whole number or less than a whole, expanded form, place value, number names or number words or the powers of 10. Can you think of other prerequisite skills to this standard? Alright, so let's get moving. We have to group ourselves into 4. So I request everyone to count from 1 to 4 and go to your respective group. You will choose your facilitator, and you may also create a name for your group to make it more fun. Assign a recorder and assign a reporter. Read and talk about the standard assigned to your group. Then you are going to determine the knowledge, concepts, skills, and products. And then you will share your group's output with all the participants. We will have to pause this video so that you can continue with your group activity. Okay, I am sure you were having fun with the sharing. Did you learn something? It is always best to learn from each other, correct? And so at this time, we are about to watch a video. And in this video, you will learn further how to unpack or how to deconstruct a standard. Let's get ready.
No matter what grade level or subject you teach, as teachers, we are all bound by at least one expectation. By law, we must teach our state's academic standards. While most states adopted the Common Core standards, 8 states chose not to. Regardless of that fact, all academic standards are constructed the same way. They all identify what students must know and be able to do within a certain context. For example, take a look at this 5th grade mathematics standard. It expects students to compare and order 2 decimals to the thousandths and represent comparisons using the symbols greater than, less than, or equal to. The first thing we need to figure out about this standard is the content that's being addressed. What do students actually need to know here? Well, most nouns in any academic standard will help us identify the content. So in this case, we'll need to teach decimals. The next question is, what skills do students need to learn? We'll use the verbs and verb phrases found in the standard to answer this question. So students will need to compare, order, and represent comparisons of decimals. Finally, we need to identify the context, and in this case, students have to represent comparisons using symbols, and the comparisons are to be made up to the thousandths place. Now, it's important to note that context can also be implied in academic standards. In this example, place value and real-world problem situations are the implied contexts within which students will compare and order decimals to the thousandths. As you can see, unpacking a learning standard is not an overly complicated process. And now that we understand the expectations of this standard, we can begin to develop our learning objectives and start the lesson planning and preparation process. See you later.
Our second session has just ended, and so at this time, we will have another break and we will come back for our last session. Have a good time.